So in this case, you'll be studying the table for the test of ammonia on indicators. The table is mentioned over there, and it has to be like, understood, don't by hearted, understand and study. So you know the color change which will happen when bases react with like phenolphthalein, or base react with methyl orange. If there's any doubt, please ask me. Okay, that was the first test for ammonia. The second test is with HCl. So this test we have studied in the chapter HCl. In that case, we have done the test with ammonia or ammonium hydroxide. That is, we take a glass rod, we dip the glass rod in ammonium hydroxide solution, and we show it on a tube which contains HCl gas, so you can see dense white fumes. Same over here. In this case, we are identifying ammonia gas. So what we do is we take a glass rod, we dip the glass rod in hydrochloric acid. Okay, so we dip it in hydrochloric acid and we show that glass rod on top of this container which has got this ammonia gas, and you can see the same dense white fumes of ammonium chloride. Okay, so that was the second one. So that is one of the easiest test you can write for ammonia, because you can use it as, I know, the same type of reaction for HCl. So you can study that and you can use it for both, that is HCl and NH3. That was the second one. The third one is we pass this ammonia gas into copper sulfate. Now this reaction is exactly the same as we had studied the reaction of NH4OH with CuSO4. That is those 5 salt solutions. If you remember, we started that today again, like, we had done it in the last class, we studied it today again. So it is like we are taking copper sulfate solution and we are passing ammonia gas. So instead of adding NH4OH as a solution, we are passing ammonia gas into it. The reaction still remains the same, because ammonia will act with the OH present in that water, that is a solution of copper sulfate, and give the same test again. So the color of the PPT formed as a result of this reaction would be a pale blue PPT. And again, when we pass more of this gas into this copper sulfate solution, it will turn into a deep blue colored solution. Okay, so this has to be an important observation. Why? Because you have to understand the question which is asked. Many a times what happens is that you don't read the question carefully and then you write down the answer over there. You have to understand what is the question asked. If the question says, that is, what do you observe when ammonia gas is added to copper sulfate solution, you will just write pale blue precipitate is formed. But if the question is, what do you observe when ammonia gas is passed into copper sulfate solution in excess, only then you will write deep blue colored solution. Otherwise, you don't have to mention deep blue colored solution anywhere in the answer. So you have to be very careful when you are reading the question, and you will write the question according to what is being asked. Okay, don't write anything which is not required and lose your marks, right? So just stick to the questions which is asked and give the answer for whatever the question is, right? The last and the most important observation, this is specific to ammonia because no other gas gives this test. This is with Nessler's reagent. Nessler's reagent is something, if you choose to study science in your higher grades 11 and 12, you'll be doing this, identifying like, the cations and anions. You'll be having like the salt test and all in grade 11 and 12. At that time, Nessler's reagent is the reagent which you use to identify ammonium. Okay, so this is, you won't do all these tests whichever we have mentioned over there. We'll be using this as a confirmatory test to identify ammonia gas. So Nessler's reagent is a solution of potassium mercuric iodide, that is K2HgI4. It is actually a colorless reagent which will turn pale brown when we start adding this ammonia gas into it. And when we add it into, like, huge quantities, like, you add it, you pass it for a longer time, that brown colored solution turns into a brown colored precipitate. Okay, so this is the most important test to identify ammonia, that is Nessler's reagent. The colorless Nessler's reagent turning pale brown first and then turning into a brown precipitate. Okay, so these are the tests you need to know. Okay, now I have a couple of students who have raised their hand. Yes. Yes, Tanisha.
Sir, in the ex- sir, in the excess, when you pass excess NH4OH, I guess,
Yeah.
can we also write inky blue?
Yeah, you can write inky blue. Inky blue
Okay.
means the same thing. Okay.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Arnav Patra, you had raised your hand. So I can't see it anymore. So if you have any doubt, please raise your hand. or I guess you got your doubt clarified? Is that enough?
Sir, I just had a doubt that if it comes like what's the test for ammonia, so can we write the physiological nature?
What is physiological nature, my dear?
So page number 175, the second point. It's written order and the nature.
If they're asking you for the test, these are
Yeah.
the things which you're supposed to write, the ones which are being seen on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you will be writing these. And among these also, when you're writing the test, you will be giving preference to the second and the third points, that is reaction with HCl or passing the gas through copper sulfate or passing the gas through Nessler's reagent. Okay. The
Yes, sir.
indicators are also not given preference. Okay, so indicators and all can be like, given as an observation question. They ask you what do you see when like ammonia or ammonium hydroxide is like, you dip this particular thing, like say red litmus, blue litmus, or you pass ammonia gas into this phenolphthalein solution or whatever. They will ask you specific questions in case of indicators, right? Apart from that, they will generally ask you a question like, say, how do you identify ammonia gas, or write a test to identify ammonia gas? The best test to write is glass rod dipped in hydrochloric acid. Okay, so because that is the easiest test you can write. Okay, the other test, that is, as I told you, Nessler's reagent and all, they will specifically ask you about that particular thing. That is, what do you observe when ammonia gas is passed into Nessler's reagent? Or they will ask you what do you observe when Nessler's reagent is added to ammonium hydroxide solution, right? And you also need to study the formula of Nessler's reagent. They will ask you the formula also. It has already come once in the board exam. So you have to study the formula of Nessler's reagent, which is K2HgI. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Alena.
Sir, in the copper sulfate solution test, are we taking ammonia gas or ammonia solution?
Copper sulfate, here we are doing it as a test for ammonia gas, but then the test for ammonium hydroxide solution will also be the same.
Sir,
Okay.
the reaction here is written with ammonia solution. So what should be?
The reaction will remain the same as I told you. So you have to understand one thing, that is ammonia as a gas, and that gas has got like high affinity for water. We have studied that during. Can you reduce the volume behind? I can't, it's very disturbing. Yeah. So what I was saying is ammonia gas has high solubility in water. Okay, so with that particular property, if you even pass ammonia gas very small quantity of ammonia, it can easily get dissolved in that copper sulfate solution. Copper sulfate solution is nothing but CuSO4 added into water. So you have got water over there. So this ammonia will react with that water, forming NH4OH, and then the test will be between NH4OH and CuSO4, giving you the same products. Okay, so that is the reason why the observation also remains the same, that is pale blue PPT initially and deep blue colored solution later on, and then the reaction also remains the same because this ammonia dissolves in this water and gives you that particular test. Clear? Okay, right. So that was test. So I hope that is clear. The last part of this chapter is uses of ammonia. So we have divided into three parts. The first part is use of ammonia in the form of liquor ammonia. I told you what is liquor ammonia. Liquor ammonia is ammonia gas dissolved in water. Okay, so the difference between liquor and liquid ammonia should be very clear to you. Liquor ammonia is ammonia gas dissolved in water, and liquid ammonia is ammonia gas which is under high pressure and low temperature getting converted from its gaseous state to its liquid state. So nothing but liquefied ammonia. So ammonia gas directly being liquefied into a liquid, that is liquid ammonia, and liquor ammonia is ammonia gas passed into water making ammonia solution, right? So when I'm taking liquor ammonia, the use of liquor ammonia is as a cleansing agent. Now cleansing agent is something which is used to clean surfaces. Okay, so it can be used to clean surfaces. It is also used to remove fats and grease. Okay, so it's like if you have any grease or anything on the cloth, you can use liquor ammonia as a reagent to remove it. This will come as a give reason question, like why is liquor ammonia used to clean fat or grease stains from the cloth? So the answer for that question will be liquor ammonia emulsifies or dissolves fats or grease. That is the reason why liquor ammonia is used as a cleansing agent to remove fats and grease. So the term emulsifies or dissolves fat is very important. So this is the key word when a question comes as a give reason question. Why do we use liquor ammonia? To remove grease stains, right? That was the first use. The second use is liquid ammonia. Liquid ammonia, since it is like ammonia gas, which is like condensed, liquefied. So it is used as a refrigerant. So refrigerant as in like in as a substitute of CFCs. You all know what is CFCs, that is chlorofluorocarbon. So they are used in refrigerators, air conditioners and all. Okay, so as a substitute, it is used as a refrigerant. Okay, so refrigerant is something which is like, added into the compressors. So we can actually like, tend to reduce the use of CFCs. So in this part, they will again ask you the reason why liquid ammonia is used as a refrigerant is because there are 2 points which is given to you, and you will mention all these things when this question comes in the exam. That is, it is highly volatile. You have studied what is volatility. That is, this gas can get into its gaseous state very easily if it is taken in the liquid form. That is, if I'm taking liquid ammonia, it can go into its gaseous state very easily. It has high latent heat of evaporation. Latent heat is the amount of heat which is required. So latent heat of evaporation is the amount of heat which is required to evaporate it. So it means it does not undergo evaporation very quickly. And it also easily liquefies under pressure. This we have studied when we had studied the separation of ammonia in Haber's process. So it liquefies under pressure very easily at low temperature. So these are the reasons why liquid ammonia is used as a refrigerant. Okay. And the last point is it is used as as a reactant in the manufacture of fertilizers, explosives, nitric acid, etc. You'll be studying this in detail in the next chapter, nitric acid, that is how it is used in the preparation of nitric acid. Okay, so these are the uses of ammonia. So you have to study the first and the second point very clearly, because this will come as a give reason question in your board exams, right? I will just show you one more video, which will be this one, that is reaction of hydrogen chloride and ammonia, and we'll conclude today's class. Okay, so
into the right hand side of the tube, we put some cotton wool that's soaked with concentrated hydrochloric acid.
okay, this is an experiment where we see the ammonium chloride gas. Okay, so it is like we are taking a tube which is hollow on both the ends, and on one end we are taking a cotton which is dipped in HCl, and on the other end we take a cotton which is dipped in NH3. Okay, and then we see the formation of NH4Cl. Okay, so please observe.
And to the left hand side of the tube, we put some cotton wool that's soaked with concentrated hydrochloric acid. And to the left hand side of the tube, we put some cotton wool that's soaked with concentrated ammonia. As you can see, we get a ring of.
So you can see that we have dense fumes of NH4Cl which is formed over here. I hope you can see this. Okay, so this is densified fumes of NH4Cl. Now there's another interesting observation, that is, even though we have this tube, instead of this NH4Cl forming in the center, it moves closer to HCl. There's another observation for that is because we have studied the density of HCl and NH3 and all. So we have studied that HCl is more denser and NH3 is less denser. So being less denser, NH3 travels faster through this tube and it comes closer to HCl, and that is the reason why when this NH4Cl is formed, it forms closer to the HCl side. Okay, so this is a very interesting experiment to understand this. So I hope whatever we discussed today was clear. So this is it. This is the end of the chapter. I'll be discussing the questions which has to be written in your notebook from this chapter. And as I told you, in the next class, we'll be having a doubt clearing session from HCl and NH3 initially, and then we will move on to the